Hi everybody, and welcome to I Like Cruise Ships, the YouTube channel, and welcome to a new video, and welcome to a new cruise news for today, Tuesday, the 22nd of February, 2022. So 22/02/22. Now, I have a little bit of a different format for the news today, so we're going to flip over to another angle of the camera, and we're going to jump into the first news story. Okay, so the first news story we're going to cover is about Carnival Cruise Line and their newest policy update on cruising. And it basically talks about their mask mandates. So Carnival Cruise Line is opting into the CDC's newest updated program for cruise ships. So basically, it's a lot of wording that I've got to kind of get out here, so just bear with me. So CDC is the Center for Disease Control. They were the ones that had a lot of the rules around cruising and the safe restart of cruising going back 6-8 months, a year ago. They were the ones that basically kind of stopped cruising effectively going back 2 years ago almost now, or just on 2 years ago. And recently they updated some of their policies and the cruise lines followed suit. And Carnival were kind of a little bit late to the party with deciding how they wanted to go with some of the rules, and they've now basically given us an update. So there's a couple of key points here just to note. So effectively, with cruises departing March 1st or later, masks on board will be recommended but not required. So that's very good news for people who are very, let's say, anti-masking or not. So you can still wear them as you wish, but not required. Now, the little extra thing at the end here, there may, however, be certain venues and events where masks will be required. Now, there's no additional information other than that, so it's a little bit hard to kind of ascertain what these certain venues may be or events, but perhaps probably where there's more confined space, or where there may be more people in a confined space and social distancing wouldn't kind of allow for people to kind of, be spread out, I guess. So possibly on something like a spa tour, possibly on maybe, something, like in the card room or in the library. That may be the case, but nothing official. So they've just got that very brief wording at the end there. They've also updated a little bit the rule about children, so Carnival will continue to meet the standards of vaccinated cruisers, which we're aware of, but children under 5 will not be included in any vaccinated guest calculations. So basically, at the moment, if you have any children up to the age of 11, you have to apply for a exemption to sail. So they've eliminated anybody that's 0 to 5 years of age to apply for this exemption, and then anybody that's going to sail with kids aged between 5 and 11, they'll still have to apply for that exemption, and they're limiting the numbers of how many people are sailing unvaccinated. That's very important. That's going for children and adults. So that's going to continue, but they're just eliminating the 0 to 5 age group. So yeah, they are also recommending where possible, if you can get your kids vaccinated, it would obviously give you less additional paperwork to go through. I mean, that's obviously a personal choice. Effective with cruises departing March 1st, some additional flexibility in pre-cruise testing requirements will become available, and it's saying to visit the Carnival website. So basically what that means is if you are fully vaccinated, they're now going to allow you to have 72 hours to do your pre-cruise testing, which is kind of good news. That's 3 days before the cruise. Now, that's actually specifying if you have your vaccinations up to date, including a booster, where you're eligible for a booster. Okay, so that's kind of quite important. It does go on to say a little bit more detail that if you're up to date with your vaccinations and haven't had a booster, you're still expected to test within 48 hours of your cruise, which is effectively 2 days. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, the main key here is the uh, the not having to wear masks on the cruise. There is a couple of very key points. So you'd have to still wear it at embarkation. So basically going through the cruise terminal and boarding the ship, and then also getting off the ship at the end of the cruise. So that's disembarkation. And then in the ports as required by the country that you're traveling to. So pretty much all ports in the Caribbean are still requiring masks to be worn in the ports of call. So yeah, that's quite important. It's not sort of across the entire cruise that you don't have to wear them. There is that requirement getting on and off the ship at the start and end of the cruise. And then in the ports of call, you'd have to wear them according to each country or island's rules. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring up the press release so it just gives us a little bit more specific wording rather than me just talking about it. These 3 key points. So I guess it's kind of good news, that sort of small part, right? Okay, so the second piece of news I've got is about Wonder of the Seas. Now, in a few days ago, I reported about the ship arriving into US waters, and as of yesterday, the Wonder of the Seas, the world's largest cruise ship, has now docked in Port Everglades or Fort Lauderdale, and the ship is basically preparing now for its first cruise, which is coming up on March the 4th. So it's still got a little while yet, but it's got plenty of time to plan and sort of get all of its inaugural festivities out the way ahead of its first cruise. And basically then, after doing a few cruises in the Caribbean, it's going to head over to Europe and start a Mediterranean season in May. And then back in November, it's going to come back to the US to continue its Caribbean cruises. And just a last little bit of news, I just thought I'd update you on the Carnival Spirit's trip over to the US. So it's scheduled to arrive on the 26th, right here at 10 a.m. This is actually kind of a live map showing the ship sailing across the Atlantic. It has only crew members on board, so it's not a passenger cruise. The ship will basically arrive to Jacksonville, Florida, and it's going to do cruises starting on the 7th of March. And it'll also participate in the Celebration cruises as well, so effectively the 7th of March. The Carnival Spirit, of course, as you may know, was actually sailing in Australian waters prior to the pandemic shutdown. It spent almost the last 2 years off the coast of Dubai and Singapore, and Carnival's decided to redeploy the ship. It'll actually go on to Alaska as well. It'll do a repositioning cruise from Florida all the way around to Seattle as well, coming up in a couple of months. So that's very exciting. So the ship is about 4 days away now from arriving into Jacksonville and make its preparations for its restart on March the 7th. So yeah. Okay, everybody, so we've got to the end of our new format for our cruise news. What did you think? Maybe let me know in the comments. I don't think it's any longer or shorter, but just a little bit different way to kind of host it. So yeah, thanks for watching I Like Cruise Ships, the YouTube channel, and cruise news for today, the 22nd of February. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, post some comments, and we'll see you in another video. Bye, everybody.